I just had to stretch. It's Monday.
Feeling good. We might have, both of us might be a little raspy. I don't know if it's from yelling during the fights, maybe drinking a little alcohol, maybe just from being Monday, but
maybe
might be a little raspy podcast, so bear with us, guys. What's happening, y'all?
Welcome to the show. I'm Karyn Bryant.
Alan Jouban here.
So yeah, we're talking all things 241 tonight. Today.
Yeah.
Today, tonight.
It's all good. Depends when they're watching.
May or may not be. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I was at the fights. Working with Wade, we have just to get this off the top, that we have like interviews with everybody.
Nice.
So there was like 9 fighters that came back for individual post-fight interviews, and then the post-fight press conference that had Stipe, DC, Dana, Bohashinya, and Nate. So that's all here on the Karyn Bryant channel where you're watching this podcast, but it's also like on our MMA Heat, stuff. They can find it there.
Very cool. I was at a Modelo UFC put on a Modelo viewing party downtown.
Yeah.
Me, Rafael Dos Anjos,
Nice.
Tatiana Suarez.
Oh, nice.
We were kind of the guests. In between fights, we go up on stage, kind of give out predictions, this and that, kind of take pictures with the fans. But it was a fun event. The only thing that I did not like was they only had the pay-per-view portion there.
Oh.
And they had us get there at like 6 o'clock. That means they picked us up at 4:30. Long story short, I didn't get to see any of the prelims. My boy Christos was fighting. I didn't get to see that fight.
That's
I only
too bad.
saw the main card. So I missed all that, but I definitely caught the main card.
Yeah, there were actually some good fights. His fight with Drakkar Klose was really good.
Yeah.
Christos ended up getting slammed in there, and that was like one of the bigger moments from the night. Drakkar won that fight. It was good. Christos is good. He's an entertaining fighter too. Like I feel like even when he doesn't win, he's a guy that you want to watch. Like he's very entertaining.
He brings it. He's got good cardio. Although I heard he kind of gassed in this fight.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that does have naturally good cardio and good everywhere. And he's also been a guy that's been just short a couple times of getting that fight of the night bonus. Just short of getting the win a couple times. But I know a couple of fights he was like the fight of the night thus far, and then the main card comes and swoops it away. Yoel Romero, we're gonna get into that one. What an awesome fight. That was probably Christos and his opponent were probably watching that fight in the back. Like,
I'm sure.
Damn.
But Drakkar is good. So there's not like there's a shame in losing, and there's never shame in losing anyway.
That guy's real tough.
But yeah, so I don't know. Do we start with the main event, or what do we do?
You want to work our way up into it?
Sure.
What are you thinking?
Okay. Yeah.
Yoel?
So Derek Brunson was the first fight against Ian.
Sure.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, good fight.
But Derek won. It's funny because he comes out like sometimes he's wild, and then sometimes he's more composed. And
a little more composed in this fight.
Yeah, there were times that when Ian, where it looked like Ian was getting the advantage, but then Ian can take a punch. But I thought that was a good win for Derek.
Good win for Derek. I thought he was very composed. It looks like he is adjusting in fights, or his experience now is showing the levels to it. Ian, very good fighter.
Yeah.
The one thing, and you know what, this is going to be the key for today. I never like to talk negatively about fighters, but I will say that I saw a couple of, in my mind, strategic or mental errors in a number of the fights. And so for this fight, the error that I saw was Ian, he kept shooting on Derek Brunson and having no success. And it's great to show a guy that I could wrestle with you and I'm not scared. It's also great to show a guy, I'm going to shoot on you early, and now I have that to fake a shot later on to come with an uppercut or something. But to continually shoot and not get the takedown and lose position over and over, I thought he was messing up his rhythm, because I thought he was doing just fine on the feet with the kicks and the blitzes, and it was a really good fight. But then he would shoot. Derek Brunson would sprawl, take position, take his back, get a couple punches. They would both get back to the feet and then reset again. And I thought that without the shots, a couple shots earlier, fine. But if he would have pulled back on the shots, he might have had a better chance of getting the win against Brunson.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. Derek also, being that southpaw, that also can throw people off too, and like not get everything that they need to get, But I thought it was a good fight. And Derek actually in the post-fight interview was telling us that Dominic Cruz gave him some really good advice. It was about like his training and stuff, because Derek was always one of those guys that was a big fish in a little pond.
Gotcha.
And Derek didn't really have a head coach. And Derek, you know, if you talk to Derek about his training, he was in North Carolina and stuff, and it was just sort of like at Derek Brunson's Fitness, you know what I mean? And it was his thing. And I guess, you know, Dominic was giving him some advice about that. That's something we've talked about a lot. We talked about that with
Oven St. Preux.
Oven St. Preux, right. And like that, you know, maybe he's had a fine career, but maybe he could have taken it to the next level if he, you know, ever got, and whatever. Anyway, Derek, in the interview, it was talking a lot about how Dominic gave him this advice and how he took his advice and how he's thankful for that advice because it's making a difference. So yeah, he's got a head coach now, I guess, and he changed up some things with his training, and obviously
he looked more well.
Yeah, well, which is smart, which is good for him. So I'm happy that he listened and like that it could be a whole new rebirth for him.
And not to mention, if I recall correctly, Derek got dropped in the opening seconds with a head kick, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he comes out wild, sometimes you're like, oh no, dude, what are you doing again?
Right,
like,
and now we kind of had the flip switched on him. The
switch flipped on him.
There you go, on him, and he got knocked down very early, had to overcome some adversity, had to weather the storm. Yeah. And then kind of slowly build momentum and find the openings. He had a guy shooting on him, trying to put him away, which is usually
exactly
the opposite. So I thought it was a good performance. An entertaining fight by both guys.
It was. And it's okay for Ian. He's got a bright future. Losing to Derek, no shame in that.
Good story. You know, I enjoy learning about him.
Oh, yeah, no, Ian's a really good dude with an incredible story. So, yeah. Sadiq Yusuf. This kid, I mean, so he beat Shaman before, right?
Yes.
So he beat your training partner,
That's
Shaman
what put
Moraes.
him on the map for me.
Exactly. So I remember, and I told this to Shaman after, because I know Shaman was bummed. I remember after that fight, we were in Philly, and I was in the elevator with Sadiq, and we were talking about that fight, and he's like, man, Shaman was way tougher than I thought he was going to be. He's like, that dude was way tougher than I thought he was going to be, you know, and yada, yada, yada. So I remember telling that to Shaman. Anyway, I liked Sadiq like right away. Like this is a kid, when you meet him, you gotta like him. Like,
charismatic,
really charismatic, smart guy, nice guy. There's a lot of warmth coming from him. Big smile, like just a good kid. You can tell this is a good kid. And so he was talking to us about this fight. You know, he beat Gabriel Benitez. He said he had the crappiest camp he's ever had. Yeah, he's like, look, I'm not even gonna lie. He's like, my camp sucked. He's like, it was such a crappy camp. And he was able to overcome that, which I was really happy for him in that fight. In our post-fight interview there, he was talking about, you know, because he's also Nigerian descent, talking about what it would mean to him if there was ever a UFC Africa. He talked about what, you know, seeing Kamaru win, seeing Israel, talks about how African fighters are built for the struggle and the mindset. Such interesting stuff coming from him there, which is a really, really, I thought, really interesting to hear. But just a fighter that I think is on the rise, and he's good, and he's entertaining. I'm down with Sadiq.
I am too. I like him. He's entertaining. Again, after he beat my teammate, he really put himself on the map in my eyes because I train with Shaman, and Shaman, we trained together today, and when we lock horns, even though he's a 45 or I'm a welterweight, he's a big, strong guy. He doesn't walk around close to 45 pounds, I'll tell you that. He's like my size right now. And when we lock horns, it's all his years of Muay Thai and all that experience, and then in his years of MMA as well. You feel it, just everything in the clinch and the pummel and the elbows and the knees. He's very, very strong, very built for that. When he fought Sadiq, they were both built the same way. Both two very stocky, strong guys, and you would see the same thing when they locked horns, and either one of them would have an advancement in a move. I go, wow, that's impressive, because I know how tough it is, because I've gone against Shaman so many times. So Sadiq looks great. He's been looking impressive to go on one of the biggest cards of the year. You heard Dana White speak about this after the fight. This is something special, he said after this. He said, out of all the pay-per-views, something special happened tonight. Sadiq was a part of that on the main card, had an amazing performance. He looked great. I think there's going to be some big fights in the future. I hope so. For a guy that's only got, what,
couple fights in the UFC.
Couple fights in the UFC. He's definitely put himself on the map, definitely aligned himself with some big fights in the near future. Yeah, I'm down. So he's one of those guys you guys should watch. Okay, so the Coco. Oof.
The Coco.
Borrachinha, the soldier of God.
I saw 2 rounds to 1.
Oh, 100%.
For Romero.
Romero, the $1 Million Man. He got it. I mean,
Cubano.
If you guys want to argue it, it's fine. I mean, I get it. It was a very fun fight, a very somewhat close fight. In terms of like I don't think it was like, oh my god, it was a highway robbery. But yes, Boashinha round 1.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I thought Yoel round 2, and I thought definitely Yoel round 3, right? Am I wrong about that?
No.
I thought round 3 might have been his best round. Round 2, I guess let's say that was the closest round of the fight. If I remember correctly, Boashinha was landing some good body kicks, which is, as a Muay Thai guy, I do reward those. But
right.
I also, like I said, anything that you do, if you hit somebody, I also judge the way it impacts them. And
right.
It never slowed them down because a body shot doesn't really show damage, but it slows people down or it makes people fight differently. Yoel didn't fight differently. He would do it. Every time he got hit, what did he do? He'd go, ah. He would stick out his tongue. He was doing the Yoel thing. It was the Yoel show. So being that the body shots never slowed him down, and Yoel was outstretched. And look, you look at the numbers. Yoel did outstrike Boashinha rounds 2 and 3, and he significantly outdamaged him. Boashinha wore
he was beat
very bad. Again, I really like Boashinha as a fighter. Tremendous fight. But I thought Derek won. He outstruck him, did more damage. You could say that Boashinha pressed the action more, but still, if you're getting punched more and taking more damage, you have to throw away the pressure because you're losing the fight still. So I thought the judges missed the boat on that one. Yeah,
and we talked to Boashinha later. He was at the press conference, so again, you guys can see that on the channel here. And yeah, he was beat up, and he was feeling it. Like you could tell, like he was not doing well. But he said that he did believe he won. Obviously that's the right answer you're supposed to say. And that he had confidence and stuff, that he felt like he won and everything. But I thought Yoel won, not only just for the damage part, but I just thought that he was landed more significant things. He scored takedowns like sort of late in the rounds to kind of steal the rounds. And it's funny because at this point I was out watching, because I was in the media room and stuff, and then I would come out and I would watch the fights in the tunnel. And so I was standing there with a couple of cops. It was actually pretty funny, and like Dan Hardy was with me for the main event and stuff, and we're standing there, but I was talking to these cops, and because they didn't really know the backstory on things, so like with Ian Heinisch and stuff, I was like, you guys, he was in jail, like, and they were like, what? And so I gave them like the brief story of Ian's life, and they were like blown away, you know what I mean? They couldn't believe it. It was kind of funny to be telling cops about like his whole backstory. But anyway,
making them uneasy.
Yeah, they were like, wait a minute. But watching Yoel and Paulo, and I was explaining to them this, that, and like he's an Olympic wrestler. Like he was in the Olympics. I'm like, yeah, I know he won the silver medal. Like, holy crap, So then when he would take him down and like see, they're like, oh my god, wow, like because then they understood the context. Because I was like, because that's what I was saying to them. I was like, oh, at any point though, I said Yoel is like standing up and he's trading. I said, but he knows in his back pocket he can always take him down. Like so. Then he would at the end of the rounds, and he would kind of steal the round. But there was a part of me that was sort of like, well, there were a couple of times I thought maybe he should have just taken him down sooner in the round or whatever. But I definitely thought he won. I thought it was 2-1 for Yoel. Like you said, not highway robbery. Like I get it. The second round was close, and there was just different things. I think it was a good fight for Boashinha in terms of going the distance, being able to prove that he can hang tough, because he hadn't done that
Having
before.
never been further than 7 minutes, a round and a half, to go 3 rounds with Yoel Romero.
Exactly, but was also why the longer it went, the more I thought it benefited Yoel, and the more I thought he took control. Like I don't know. And then when people are like, obviously it's it is what it is, but you can say, okay, it's better for the younger guy to win, in terms of the future and stuff like that. People but it's not like the judges are incentivized to be like, let me think about the future of the organization. They don't care. They don't care.
The judges don't work for the UFC.
Exactly.
They don't care. They're not incentivized by, they don't care who, they're just judging accordingly to what they thought they saw.
Right.
But I didn't see it. I saw a definite momentum shift in the second round. I saw Yoel using his left hand as a power hand and switching stances, using it as a jab and landing it over and over and over again. And again, damage. You see how busted up he looked. And they had those moments where he would clinch him and land those uppercuts and hurt him. And Boashinha, I guess what swayed the judges in their eyes was the way he was able to take that punishment, but then continue the forward pressure.
I guess so.
And so maybe they were looking more at that. But it was a fun fight. They deserved fight of the night. I'm happy they got that. I mean, Yoel doesn't need the money, the $1 million. I can't get over it, man. The guy wins a $27 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Who do people think won?
Mixed reviews. They were talking a lot about cheating, PEDs, stuff like that.
But he got cleared.
One of the comments here, a lot of people were talking about the rehydration. And apparently, Marco Raimondi had tweeted out that CSAC, they're recommending that if a fighter has to hydrate more than 15% of their weight, they need to go up a division. And,
So they're saying Bohashina had to do that?
And they're saying that...
because Yoel weighed in at 184 or something. He made weight.
A longtime viewer is saying that Mark also tweeted Paulo came in at 200 and almost 14 pounds.
He came in at 214, so he put on about 30.
On fight night, he came in at 213.8.
Wow, interesting.
And so,
that's massive.
Question is, what do you guys think about or May Allen about fighters losing that much weight and having to rehydrate that much?
I mean, I don't care. I've always fought a little less than because I walk around 190. I fight at 70. I usually fuel back up to about 85, 83. So I always remember like when I fought Mike Perry. We looked at the chart when I had to weigh in before the fight, and he was 190 something, 194, 192, and I was like 182. So I knew he had like 10 or 12 pounds on me, and that's usually how it is for me. So I don't care. I'm used to it. If they're making it a rule, then maybe they need to follow the rules. The commission, whoever's doing this, needs to say, okay, well look, he's over the recommended limit. And so what happens is, if you're gaining 35 pounds and they say you're only supposed to gain 20, I think what they do is they give you 1 or 2 warnings, and if you do it 2 or 3 times, then they say you now have to go up in the division. So I'm assuming they gave him a strike on his card, and if he does it again, maybe they will force him to. But as a fighter, I don't think we care. We're used to it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a division that we want to fight at. As long as you make weight under contract, that's all we care about. We know that you might be bigger or smaller. But to me, the bigger story was, look at Romero. They were like, are you going to make weight and this and that?
Yeah.
The guy comes in 2 pounds lighter.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
It's pretty good weight cut for him.
Well, and also Bohashina, that was part of the thing he got in trouble for, was the IV recently and stuff like that.
Oh,
with his coach and all that, but whatever.
Interesting.
Actually, speaking of the weight difference thing, actually, if you do look at our post-fight interviews, the Casey Kenny kid was talking about giving up 20 pounds to Benitez Bermudez earlier in the fight on the prelims. You know, they ended up making that one a catchweight fight anyway, but he gave him his first professional loss. He gave Bermudez his first professional loss, but he was also like, oh yeah, like he was way
gave up about 20
pounds on fight night and stuff, and he was talking about that. Go ahead, Wade. What?
Just another person asking if Allen has another fight planned. They're just wondering, what's his status.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm just about cleared with I had to have surgery, if you're still catching up on this. About 4 months ago after my fight, tore something, had surgery on this. So I've been kind of just out for a while, back to training again. Got a bit of a crooked finger here. Get this one checked out. Just old man stuff. But yeah, I'm just about healthy. Hopefully, if this is just something that's like a quick fix. And I eyeball in the rest of the year. I'm trying to kind of figure things out. But bear with me. Take a little break.
You might see Allen in some commercials.
You need to chill out, Karyn, Bryant, because I'll bring up some. I'll find something. I'll find something on you, Karyn, Bryant. I don't know so much. Drinking wine over the weekend or something. Her and Wade.
He was acting. He was acting.
Allen was acting. But yeah, so. I don't know what's next for Bohashina. I don't know what's next for Yoel. I mean, like, the guy is amazing still, and I still think he beats a lot. I still think he won.
Well, I mean, Bohashina would be in line for the...
that's the whole thing. So then they were, obviously Israel and Robert are going to be fighting and stuff like that. But, like, I think Whitaker beats Bohashina. I mean, I don't know. I guess Bohashina and Israel have, like, more of a back and forth thing going, right, where they've been talking trash to each other. But just the fact that Robert has beaten Yoel convincingly more, you know what I mean? I think Robert would win.
Yeah. And how about the losers? How about Kelvin Gastelum versus Yoel Romero next or something like that, right? Because, I mean, they're both coming up.
Yeah, I thought somebody was talking about Kelvin versus...
I can't see Yoel fighting too much.
But Yoel versus Kelvin would be wild. Kelvin would seem,
fight, right?
Kelvin would seem very little compared to Yoel, but he'd be fast.
But man, he always proves us wrong.
No, I'm not saying he wouldn't win.
I know.
That would be entertaining.
Like, he always seems like,
Kelvin's
he's giving up too much size, and then he always does well in those.
He's a gamer.
Those type of fights, but Yoel, the man is what, 42?
That's what I mean. Like, how much longer is he going to keep going?
He's already made money in fighting. Not enough to just say I'm going to retire for it, but he's done well in fighting financially, and then to have the kickback from the settlement from the steroid claim or whatever. He's financially taken care of now. He's done a tremendous amount with the Olympics and everything throughout his entire combat career. 42 years old. I mean, I don't know. It's up to him. He's fun though. He's fun to watch. It's fun to interview. Every time they ask him a question, he avoids the answer. He avoids it. He says something completely opposite of what they asked. But I'm still intrigued. You know,
I like him a lot.
He's got the voice. He's got the
yeah. I like him a lot. All right, so co-main event.
Co-main.
I'm not gonna lie.
Pettis.
I'm not gonna lie. Before this fight, my heart was with Nate. My head was with Anthony. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's how I felt going into this fight. I was really excited that Nate won. Really excited, and that because I don't take any. Pettis is such a good dude.
Yeah,
and he's so cool. Like everything. This was one of those where I was like, if we had a draw, I'd be psyched.
You just relate to Nate more.
I do, and I've known him longer. I've known him longer, so my heart was really with Nate. But I just was thinking the inactivity. Pettis looked sharp against Wonder Boy. I just kind of thought that there was that time off. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I just kind of thought that the mojo was riding with Anthony more.
Yeah.
But my heart totally wanted Nate to win. And then when he did, I was like, that was just an awesome fight.
I was wrong on this one. Yeah. Every time somebody asked me about all the fights, I said, man, I really don't know about DC and Stipe. I really don't know about Yoel and Boaschinha. But when the Diaz-Pettis was a more breakdownable fight. Right. Two different contrasting styles, two different contrasting personalities.
I like it.
They both have kind of like, I don't want to say obvious weaknesses, but they both it was a very easy fight to break down. And so in my mind, Diaz, I kind of took Diaz as when he fought Conor McGregor. I said, why did Conor McGregor not throw any kicks the first fight? Why did he only headhunt? He's too tough. Why did he let him corner him like that and put Conor against the cage? The second fight, Conor made those adjustments. Leg kicked him. Conor, when he was accused of running, it was just don't get cornered because Nate has that pressure. He underhooks you. He dirty boxes you.
Long reach, too.
Long reach. He put you on the 1-2, put you in the corner. So I thought, okay. And the one time that Diaz had been knocked out was from Josh Thompson using the right, where you hide the kick behind the punch. And these are all things that Pettis does extremely well. So I thought stylistically, Pettis was going to take this fight. Fast forward to the night of the fights. I'm there watching the viewing party at Modelo with Rafael dos Anjos, who had fought both guys and beaten both guys, and asked him his thoughts on it. He goes, it could go either way. Both guys are really good, but I got to give the advantage to Diaz. And I was like, really? You don't think Pettis is going to kick him? And he goes, it could happen, but he goes, Diaz is just so tough, and he pressures you, and he goes, Pettis kind of folds under pressure. And I was like, huh.
Coming from a pressure fighter and a Rafael.
A pressure fighter who's fought both of them. And that's the thing is that, we could see it from the outside, but when you fight somebody, you know what they really mean. And so I took that into account, and I go, man, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the pressure. We thought about the years off, the kicks, the obvious. Right. Sure enough, it went exactly how Rafael dos Anjos imagined it. Nate Diaz was up in his butt, not allowing Pettis to throw any kicks. I thought the kicks were going to be the story of the fight. Yeah. There was really no kicks.
Not a lot of kicks. No, it was a boxing fight.
A couple of kicks he went for. He got checked hard one time. Pettis was checked hard one time. Fell down, hurt himself. Didn't really land any head kicks. Diaz was able to keep that pressure on, keep it in a boxing range, keep it in dirty boxing, put him against the cage. And he was right. I do remember a lot of times when dos Anjos dethroned Pettis, they put the pressure on him. When a couple of guys beat Pettis, they would put the pressure on him, make him box it up. And Diaz just fought a really, really, really good fight, a smart fight. And it shows that he is always going to be in the mix. He may not always be the elite of the division, but he's always a big enough name, has a big enough fan base, and he's always good enough and tough enough to beat anybody in the UFC at any given day. He may not be consistently good enough to beat the best wrestler or the toughest boxer type guy, but he's good overall enough to consistently be a draw, a main event type of guy. He's just got that about him, the durability and that skill set about him. Yeah, and I agree with all that. Also, Nate, on the ground, Anthony did submit Charles Oliveira. So Anthony is not a joke on the ground. But there was a couple times when it went to the canvas and I was like, oh, it's over. Like I thought for sure Nate was going to tap him out. Right away, popping the triangle on Anthony. That was some good jiu-jitsu. That was good jiu-jitsu. Because a lot of lesser jiu-jitsu guys, as you said, lesser than Anthony, would have been submitted. For sure. Anthony was in trouble, and
One time he actually was able to get the turn too and go chest to chest, which I was impressed.
Exactly, got out of back control against Nate. Nate even said it. You know, he was like, no man, like, you know, whatever. He said that it wasn't that Anthony so much did good. He just kind of felt that like even if Anthony got the sweep, Nate didn't feel like he was in compromising a position because he feels so comfortable off of his back. But didn't you feel like at one point when he had it and Nate was on his back, I was expecting the triangle and the double birds. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Nate has given us so many incredible moments like that. And he almost had it too. Man, Nate, he's
such a G.
He's a G.
Man, I just love that dude. Like, I mean, he's awesome.
I wonder if he really thinks about these things. Like, I'm going to do this.
I think it's pretty organic. I think it is. I think it's real. I don't think it's calculated. I think he is living in the moment. I feel like it's totally authentic if he's going to do that. I think you can't come up with like, I'm not surprised. Like you can't, like, you wouldn't be able to script that. Oh, here's what I'll say. If Joe says, I'm surprised, you know what I mean? Like you don't, it's totally authentic, which is why Nate is the draw that he is, right? Because it's funny because, you know, when the people who don't like them, oh, they're drug addicts or they're this or that, like they're not obviously drug addicts, and he's obviously a very high level athlete. But the thing is they just don't take bullcrap, right? They don't take bullcrap. They've never taken bullcrap. And they are a very tight unit in terms of, you know, I mean, and I talked to Nate after the press conference. We were talking about Nick and this and that. And he's like Nick Diaz Army. Like that's what he said in the octagon. Like the amount of respect and love he has for his brother is really incredible. I love it. And to hear Nate still feels, because I literally asked him in the press conference, like, dude, you came here second, but you're like eclipsing your brother, and that's incredible. Like, did you ever think that this was going to happen? And he's like, no, man, I'm representing Nick.
He shuts it down.
He's like, I'm representing the Nick Diaz army. He's like, it's not me. It's all about my brother. My brother's this, my brother's that, my brother's this, my brother's that.
His brother was the
which is so incredible to me. Yeah,
Diaz, but he has definitely surpassed him.
He has surpassed him. But that's the thing is, I love that that Nate still believes so much in his brother and represents what his brother started. I just think that's so
because
great.
his brother started it. Nate picked up. He was inspired by his brother, and he also knows that when they train together, his brother probably still gets him. You know, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm good. I'm a draw, but
he's the G.
But my brother still beats my ass. Right. He's my older brother, and so I love that he has that amount of respect for his brother. I
love it.
I dig stuff like that. Yeah, I think the way that he handles himself, Nate, is organic. Yeah. I do think, though, that some of it is calculated. And when I say that, I mean this. Yeah. What I like about it is that I like, okay, this is kind of going off, but reality TV, anytime you're on reality TV and you can produce, you're showing a product and it's also building that product at the same time, you're killing two birds with one stone. And what I'm getting by that wasn't a good example, but he's a G. People love him for it. He's into the weed thing. He's got a CBD dispensary.
He does. Exactly.
Everything that he does builds his brand, builds his market. He gets up on stage, organic or thought out or not, or premeditated. He gets up there and blazes up.
Well, he's not stupid. That's why I'm saying he's not dumb. Everybody
thinks. He gets up there and blazes up a joint. Everybody's like, what is he doing? Everybody's watching it. I was baffled by it. It turns out he's got a CBD dispensary. He's got coming out with a new line. It's building his business. It's also building the mystique of him. Yeah, it's like this is the guy that also won UFC show. You remember this? He was sitting in the crowd. Camera pans to him. He puts up a joint in the air and starts doing this. People were replicating that out there. What's his name?
Sean O'Malley.
Sean, yeah. You got to be authentic with it, like Nate is, and Nate does it. He's the first to do a lot of things. He's authentic with it. It all builds its brand. It's, you know, the way he interviews, the way he doesn't show up to press conferences. Although it makes people mad, it's like it builds his brand even more, and the empire, the industry, the business that they have going on the business end, it helps that part of it too. So I love that part of it, that everything that he does is like there is meaning and purpose, but he's a genuine guy. He's a genuine G.
Absolutely.
Speaking of genuine Gs, can we get one of the most G'd up fights in the history coming up with Nate Diaz calling out?
And must be done. give me that fight. I'll take all my money now. Because Masvidal was backstage also, so we have an interview with Masvidal. We also got Dominic Reyes, he was back there. But like, Masvidal was talking about anybody, he'll take anybody and anybody who's a money fight. But this was even before Nate's fight, that he was backstage. So he had mentioned Nate, and he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then Nate called him out in the octagon, and Jorge's sitting right there, and we're like, let's go. Because there is the rumor that Nate and Conor could fight in December. They could have that trilogy fight. We don't know what's going on with Conor right now. But if not, Masvidal versus Nate, come on, everybody would pay to see that fight.
Yes, I'm maybe I'm alone on this one. You tell me. I'm kind of over the Diaz Conor fight.
thing?
I'm gonna watch it a million times.
But is it just because Conor's been out so long that you don't care?
Conor's been out. They fought twice already. I don't really care for the. I would watch it, but to me, there's other enticing fights. It's a good one. It's a good one, but I would rather definitely see Masvidal and Nate than Conor Nate. You know, if they had to be one, I'd rather see that one. It's a new fight. It's fresh. It's two guys that aren't going to be around forever. Neither will Conor. Two of the realest guys in the UFC right now. Yeah. And they also have that mystique of the way that they're fighting, the way that they're doing stuff. And there's also a mutual respect.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not like bashing each other. They're like, I'm going to beat this dude's ass, but he's a real one, but he's not as real as. It's like there's a respect there. Let's see it, man.
They see themselves, and they see the common
denominator between both of them.
So anyway, Anthony May, he broke his leg, I guess, or his ankle, right, or his foot, or something.
Pettis broke something. I heard that too.
Which sucks. But I'm happy for Nate. It's funny because the haters will sit there and be like, yeah, you guys, look at Nate's record, though. He's like 19-11 or whatever. Oh, yeah. People are like, yeah, he sucks. Look at his record. Well, A, how many fights have you had? B, the people he loses to, it's like he's been around for real. This guy won Tough 5. Well, and he was a kid when he started. So, like, you're going to have a learning curve and stuff like that. But he fights good fighters.
And that's also what I mean by... I don't want to say this and get people pissed at me, but I don't think Diaz will ever be a champion. Not that he couldn't be a champion, but he fights all the toughest guys, A. But B, he has holes in his game. Like if you're a dominant wrestler and you have good submission defense, you could probably beat Nate Diaz because you're gonna be able to take him down, but you just have to avoid that killer guard game of his. But he's very takedownable. He's susceptible to kicks, even though he did a very good job to defend him in this fight. But there's guys. Rafael dos Anjos.
There's people that can beat him.
There's other people that have showed the holes in his game and have exploited that. But he's also a guy that could beat Anthony Pettis, that could beat Cowboy Cerrone, that could hang that could beat Conor McGregor, that could hang with the best guys in the world at any given day. He's kind of a hit or miss kind of guy, but he's always up there with the best of them.
And he's just a good dude.
He's just fun. And
he's a good dude. He's good for TV. He's a good dude. Really, I'm actually just like, I was really happy that he won. Like, really happy for him.
This comment came in, I guess you pronounce her name Nietzsche. It says, record means nothing if your performances are always on point.
There you go.
I like that.
There you go.
It's true.
And you look at a lot of the greats. I don't want to throw a BJ Penn in here because BJ Penn's doing some bad stuff by continuing
at the end here, At
the end, but Captain America, Randy Couture. You look at a lot of the old school guys. Their records are like 500. Their records are not amazing because they were fighting everybody. They started fighting very early. A lot of these guys in the beginning, they came in to the UFC with 1 or 2 fights in their records. So not everybody's going to have the best record in the world anymore. But like you said, it depends on who you were fighting. Jake
Ellenberger?
Jake Ellenberger, thank you. Yes, the end of his career declined, but if you look at Jake Ellenberger's opponents,
they're all tough guys.
Everybody in the top 15 in the welterweight division for the last 7 years. Okay, so you're gonna have losses there.
Exactly. So congrats to Nate. Happy he's back. Hopefully it won't be another 3 years before we see him fight. He and Jorge could fight. That'd be amazing. Here's the thing. Literally, we were saying on the way home from the fights that like. You feel like, so Stipe told us that, he had his daughter not long after he lost that fight to DC. So he was saying the whole year off that he had, between the fights with DC was actually great because he had his baby to focus on. It's his favorite person in the world. That kept him so happy. But obviously he was out over a year just waiting for that rematch. And even though he seemed very positive and stuff about that, like there was a part of me that was literally thinking, okay, now everything has gone back to normal in Stipe's world with him being champ again, right? Like I feel like, and this is only my idea because it's not like he said this, but like that was probably an incredibly difficult year for him to not be the champion. Yes. Like when he set the record for defending it 3 times. He's in the conversation for the greatest of all time. And yes, he had this very positive thing with his daughter and his family, at that family time. But like, there literally was the feeling that I got as soon as that belt came back, that it was like the gauntlet or whatever, that like everything in Stipe's world went quote unquote back to normal, because I feel like that's a man who feels right as a champion. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That had to be a tough year aside from the birth of his daughter. Yeah. Every time you turn on the TV, it's the Daniel Cormier show.
All the time.
Won Fighter of the Year, Analyst of the Year, and he fought and won throughout the year. And so every time anything is attached to DC, they're showing his highlights and they're showing you getting knocked out. So incredibly tough to always turn on the TV and see yourself getting knocked out, or see what's happening, see the belt that used to be around your waist when people used to call you champ. I said before the fight, I was like, which Stipe is going to come out? And to be honest, DC was eating him up.
I thought DC was going to win. I thought DC was going to keep the title.
Going to win. DC was eating him up in the first couple of rounds. He just made a beautiful adjustment with those body shots and caught DC slipping. DC, I thought somewhere in the second round that DC might have broken his jaw, because he was spitting up a lot of blood and his mouth was just hanging open. And I was watching really close. He went back to the corner. I think they tried to take his mouthpiece out, and he kind of like shrugged it off. And I go, man, his jaw's broken. Maybe that's why his eyes were so wired. Because if you saw DC, he kind of gets in that mode because he's fighting 5 rounds, but his eyes get really wired. And I know that feeling. You just kind of like, you're just running on, like you just know you're doing what you've been trained to do, not to ever give up. But things are hurting, things aren't right. So I thought something was wrong with him. It seemed like no. I mean, we would have heard it that his jaw was.
He talked to us after DC showed up to the press conference.
He seemed to be talking fine. I think he just got kind of caught up in the routine. He said it himself. He wasn't really listening to his corners. They were telling him to change the game plan, to wrestle, to do other things, and he wanted to sit in the pocket. But the thing that I picked up on most during their match was DC's game. DC has his game where he goes and he touches gloves. He wants to put his hands out and he makes Stipe. DC does this. He reaches. When Stipe reaches back to touch him, he slaps and hits him. And that's his game, because he's got shorter reach. Yeah. So he makes you extend your reach, and he goes in, pop, 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 and just starts peppering away. And he had the speed advantage, and he had that technique there of making you kind of parry his hands and then countering you. And it was working great. The big slam early. Stipe with the beautiful adjustment to the liver shot. What happened was, I believe, not only was it just a great adjustment, but now he wasn't playing the hands game anymore. Now he was pursuing the body shots, and DC didn't really know how to react, because that's the only way DC was getting in. He was touching hands and then boxing, touching hands and boxing. Now Stipe is initiating everything with the body shots, and you could see it hurting him. That one body shot before the knockout,
brutal.
It was like right in the rib cage, right above the liver. Brutal shot. Tremendous performance. I think Stipe was getting beat for 3 rounds.
He was,
to be honest. He was losing the fight. But that's what champions do. That's why there's 5 rounds, because you have the chance, the opportunity, the time to make adjustments, and he did that as a champion should do. Yeah,
well, so I thought, because in my mind, I was thinking about that 5th round between Stipe and Junior Dos Santos that time, right? Like, Stipe can keep coming at you. Like, and the later in the fight it goes, I actually was thinking the better it was going to be for Stipe too, right? So he was really cool after, in the press conference, totally talked about, he's like, no, DC kicked my ass for a couple rounds. He's like, I was getting beat up. He's like, I sucked. Like, I lost those rounds hard, So he's fully aware of that, you know what I mean? And I was like, it was going to take him some time to get his rhythm back and stuff like that. So I thought he made great adjustments. I thought, as it went on, you could see DC's hands were getting lower. And I was like, oh no, oh no. But I'm in my head, I'm like, wrestle. And I was watching it with, like I said, Dan Hardy was with me, and I'm like, why isn't he taking him down? You know what I mean? And like, what's happening? And then after, to talk to DC about it, like I said, he came to the presser too, and he's talking, he's like, yeah, that's actually my biggest regret of the evening is letting my coaches down and not listening to them. They wanted me to wrestle. I didn't do it. It cost me.
You can't have we can't always have a perfect round like he did in round 1. But if he would have stuck to the game plan that he did in round 1, that would have been a wash. I mean, when I saw the first round happen, I go, holy crap. I mean, he's about to dominate Stipe because the way that he slammed him, they stayed on top of him, and he was beating Stipe up.
Yeah.
I go, that was a perfect round. If he does this, he could do this for 5 rounds.
Totally.
But he veered away from it. You started seeing his eyes getting bigger, and he wanted to box Stipe up, and he played that game a little too long. And then when Stipe finally made that adjustment, he was too deep into that boxing mode to battle back and forth with the boxing that it took him out of his element of feinting and shooting and level changing.
Yep.
And he got caught. He just got caught. The punch that you don't see coming, as he said, was the one that caught him.
And maybe, too, he's thinking, I knocked him out the first time. I can do it again. Like, you don't know what's really playing into that inner monologue the whole time. But, I don't know if DC's going to keep fighting. He said he's going to talk to Selena about it, talk to the family. It's tough because he looked really good. It's not like DC looked like some old man who shouldn't keep fighting. Yeah. But at the same time, he already said he was going to retire, and he kept going. You don't want to retire on a loss, probably, but he's not going to get a rematch, really, right? Because they made Stipe wait a whole year. We don't really need a rematch.
That's what I'm wondering, though.
Do we need a trilogy fight?
I don't know.
Do we need a trilogy? I don't know how people feel about it. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I feel like it would maybe be warranted if Daniel sits down with Dana White with White, and and says, "Look, I got 1 fight left in me, man. I just want that fight back. I want the trilogy." Then maybe the UFC might
if it's his farewell fight,
because he's got 1 fight left. And I'm saying if he comes back, I don't think he's fighting 2 times, 3 times. Right. It's 1 more fight if he comes back, and it's either going to be. I mean, it's going to be heavyweight. He's not going down to 205. The John Jones discussion is pretty much.
I guess I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't want to see those 2 fight at heavyweight. I just don't. I guess partly too because having worked with DC all those years, I saw firsthand the emotional toll and the physical toll of fighting John, and it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean,
I just don't wish that on a friend to go through like all of that stuff again. Like I just don't. Even if he ended up winning the fight,
And why would he move on? Like, why would I say,
it's hard.
This chapter with Stipe is still open. I just lost this fight. Let me go fight another chapter of the John Jones saga. No, I say if he comes back, then he should lobby for this rematch.
Stipe or nothing.
But it's up to Stipe. What'd you say?
I'm saying Stipe fight or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's, again, like you said, it is up to Stipe. Stipe had to wait a year.
And I think Stipe wants, there's other, and the thing is there are guys he beat Ngannou obviously the first time, but Francis has been looking better. There are some other things happening, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's a really tough one because, as you said, he was winning the fight.
He was looking great.
He was also winning the fight when John Jones knocked him out with a head kick. So that doesn't always mean anything, especially when you're fighting for 5 rounds, because he was, in my eyes, he was winning. He got knocked out with John Jones in the 3rd or the 4th, but he was winning all 3, I believe, in my eyes, before he got knocked out with John Jones. So you could always get caught.
It's tough.
Whatever he does, love seeing him. He doesn't need to do any more. I just read something that he posted right before we started the show on social media, apologizing to his fans and family.
Don't apologize.
He doesn't need to do it. I get it. I've done it too. It's just we feel like we let people down. But if anybody has surpassed what we expected out of him, it was him. I mean, the man
double champ.
He's done so much and everywhere. Double champ on TV, inside the octagon. He does so much. He's a coach for his wrestling team. He could end the journey right now on a loss, and it wouldn't hurt, tarnish his career at all.
DC's the man. He is the man.
We got one fan.
Okay.
This would be interesting. They're saying, how about DC versus Ngannou and then the trilogy?
No.
Well, I don't think he has 2 fights, though. I mean, yeah, it would be fun to watch, but does DC come off of being the double champ, the champion of the world, and then go fight Ngannou and then, kind of take a risk in that fight and then hope to get it?
I don't like it.
I don't think he has enough time. I think he's already at the point where he's saying now, I don't know if I'm going to fight again, so if I come back, it's got to be all or nothing. It's got to be Stipe.
Agreed. Any questions before we wrap it up?
Oh, what else? There was someone asking, how does Alan stay looking like he's 23 years old?
Yeah, Alan. He's rubbing that placenta over his face every
I
day.
do that all the time. It's good stuff.
He gets.
Man,
You go to the delivery rooms
that.
and get the placental
I've heard
face
of that.
masks and stuff. That's nasty.
I need to do more of that stuff. Hey, my wife is a beauty expert. Okay, so
Yeah.
I really don't take advantage of it enough. But
I know,
thank you for the comment.
yeah.
Thank you for noticing, actually.
We had a couple more comments asking Karyn, they much would have preferred you at the desk. Why weren't you there?
Yeah, Karyn, what's up?
Geez, I would like to. Those pay-per-views are just currently not my assignment.
For some reason, they didn't assign Karyn on the pay-per-view, so she's not on them on any pay-per-view.
So let ESPN know it's not by choice. They just didn't give me that assignment.
Karyn Bryant on ESPN.
So it's not my assignment. They gave it to John, so he does them for the pay-per-views, the post-show and pre-show and all that stuff. So he worked there before. He has a long-standing relationship with them. He used to do MMA Live.
Yeah, I didn't realize
way
that.
back in the day. So he has known the ESPN people for years, and the men who make all the decisions just went that way. So John's a great guy. I love John Anik. He's awesome.
Yeah, it's not John. It's his decision.
Not my decision. Not my decision. Not my assignment. Unfortunately.
Last topic. You've covered a lot of the questions already asked, but Victor is wondering, Karyn, and he's asked several times.
Yes.
How's your tennis game going?
Pretty good. Okay, so I was traveling a lot this summer. Didn't get to practice as much. There was like a whole month I went off. I was like, oh wow. So when I went back to practice the other day, last week, I was like, okay, a little rusty, but still got my groove. But it's going well this season. Actually, I need to sign up for my team. This season is only doubles, unfortunately, though. I prefer singles. The fall season is only doubles, so I will probably be frustrated in the fall because I'll be like, oh, that was my ball. Oh crap, that was my ball. Like doubles is hard.
Strong partner.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. But my game is coming along. It did take a little bit of a pause this summer because I was traveling so much. But the fall actually gives me time to improve on even though it's only a double season.
Do you get to pick your partner, or is it assigned to you?
Well, we kind of figure out people that we like to play with and stuff like that. So it's coming along, but I prefer singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all on you. It falls on your shoulders.
Exactly.
Yeah, can't blame anyone.
Exactly. But yeah, that's it. So my next gig, I'm going to China for those fights. Hopefully the political unrest there calms down.
When is that fight?
Not this coming weekend, next week.
Okay.
So I'll be going to Shenzhen, and I'll be doing the reporting on that one, which will be fun. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is like almost everybody on the card I think is going to need a translator. There's only a couple of English speakers, so that can be a little tough, but it's going to to be
transfer the energy during the conversation when there's a middleman there.
Exactly. But it'll be cool. So otherwise, for you, we should look for you on some commercials.
You need to calm down with this. I did one job that I didn't love, like a modeling job with the family, and it wasn't the cool stuff that I normally do. But we're gonna get past.
He's way cooler than that. So if you see that ad, just think of the money. It's every now and then. It doesn't mean you're selling out to get paid. Is the other thing too. When you make it to get an offer, you can't refuse.
They pay me gobbles.
I was just gonna say every now and then you just be like, well.
Every now and then you just
college fund. The college where you take the money and you run, and
you do goofy dad.
But
jobs.
so what?
We'll see
at the end of the day.
It didn't come out yet.
Who cares? Like really, who cares? It's fun. It's money. It's work.
Me a lot of money, Karyn. $1 million.
I mean, who would say no? Who would say
anything else? Got it?
I think we're good.
Cool.
Okay, on social media, KB Heat at Instagram, Karyn Bryant everywhere else, and this Karyn, and also MMA Heat. So follow us.
Check it out at Alan Jouban across the board, all social media.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
See ya.